Hey everyone, it's God Forgive Me, and I'm bringing you a special video today. I'm going to show you how I AFK farm every single mob in High Realms, starting with the easiest being the green slimes, going all the way up to the more complicated, and finally revealing how do I AFK farm Grimthorn and get all those realm keys. So that way when you see my God Forgive Me alts popping up in the chat, getting all these rare items, you're going to know what method and what setup I'm using. With that being said, I'm doing this because with the upcoming revamp, every single time they've updated the forest, it's broken my farming method for Grimthorn. So I figured with the time that we have left, I want everyone to have the chance to go ahead and go out there and get those rare items like a realm key before the changes happen, and then we have to rethink everything. Also keeping in mind that only 2 of these mobs can be AFK farmed solo. All the rest of them require at least you to have friends with you or alts working with you. I will also let you know I am not cheating. There's no wall hacking, no glitching, no falling into the terrain. I am just using the mob's behaviors and their AI against them. So with that also being said, I do also recommend using a private server. If you don't know how to use a private server, go ahead and go to a friend or your own island, have everybody join on you, and then with you being the island owner, once everybody's on your island that you intend, up to a maximum of 10, you can / go to forest or / go to mines, and that will take everybody that's on your island at that time into a private server of either the forest or mines. So we will also in this video cover what's the best weapon to farm every single one of these mobs in these scenarios and how many alts or friends you'll need to do this. On the other side, it's also going to show you a frostbite method where you can get that looting effect, get more drops, but because of that, with the less damage, you're most likely going to need more people with you. So with that being said, let's dive right in to our first mob. Alright, starting off with our normal green slimes, the best way to AFK for these is just coming to the Ashwood area in the forest, which is at the top of the hill where the big tower is. And you can really go to any one of the spawn points, and the reason why this is the best area for normal slimes is because that's the only thing that spawns up here is just normal slimes. And with them only having 64 health, any sword that deals damage of 64 damage or above is going to work at soloing this just by themselves. As you can see, I have this all here just with a frostbite. That is going to be your best weapon because although it does deal more than 64 damage, like say Jelly Blade and Slime Sword and Twilight and Deathstalker, but in this case it automatically without any other enchantment comes with the effect of looting. So this is going to be your best bet to go ahead and get some extra drops while you're AFKing. And that's it. This is a very simple one. Now let's go ahead into Cherry Tree Hill, and that's going to be a little bit more complicated. Alright, and the reason why the Cherry Tree Hill gets things a little bit more complicated is just because it spawns all 4 types of slime mobs that there are. That's including the normal slimes, the slime gores, the pink slimes, and the ancient slimes. And because the ancient slimes and the slime gores have a pretty decent amount of health, it gets a little bit trickier in how to AFK these more efficiently. And part of that is just because the ancient slime mobs being so big, even if you instant kill them as soon as they spawn, they can go ahead and push you out of position. So I found that this tree spot right here, which is the first tree all the way to the right, it actually limits the pass that the ancient slime block or any slime mob can take when it first spawns. It's generally always going to go to the left here. It could go right, but it's generally going to die before that. And in either case, it's spawning in enough space where it's not going to push you out of position. So if you're looking at using the best weapon here being the Jelly Blade, you only need 2 alts, and you can let them sit here and they will go ahead and go to work all day. Now, if you want to go ahead and do a variant with the Frostbite swords, well, we can go ahead and change this, and we can add a person because 2 isn't going to cut it. It's not going to be enough damage without possibly being pushed around by a surviving slime like an ancient slime. So let's go ahead and change this to some Frostbite swords now. Now 3 should be enough, but here's the thing. You can actually go up to 4. You can go up to 4, and all of them are going to get drops except for normal slimes, which, again, we're not really going to be farming at this spot if we want normal slimes. We're going to want to go ahead and do that at the Ashwood area. But this, we can get 4 alts working, all 4 with frostbites, so you're going to quadruple the drops while also having the chance of double drops. So it's really a very good, efficient route when I am AFKing the slimes, this is really what I'm doing, trying to get those pink slime drops and also those ancient slime drops, because that's really what we're looking for, those cores and those sapphires. But yeah, this is slimes, and now we're gonna go to the mines. All right, we're in the mines, and next mob that we're gonna go over is gizmos. Now, there are 4 spawn spots for gizmos. There's these 2 up here. I do not recommend them because gizmos, kind of like ancient slimes, can of course spawn and kind of push you out of position even if you're instantly killing them. And these have a kind of a wonky spots where they can come aggro pretty short distance after they spawn. So in the end, these 2 tend to break, and I don't recommend them. Now, if you are going to go ahead and AFK them, I recommend one of these 2 spots down here. Now, if you're going to only just do one of the spots, go ahead and do this spot here. That's because if you were only doing this spot, this gizmo right here can come in the radius and aggro this group. So it would knock, of course, this group out of position, messing it up and breaking your AFK. Now, on the other side, this gizmo generally doesn't come over here as long as you keep yourself north of its spawn spot right here. As you can see that these 2 are. With Deathstalker, you only just need 2. That is the best weapon for these. Both will get a drop. On the other side, if you want to use Frostbite, you can go ahead and add 1 extra body. It's going to make it so that they do instantly kill it, while at the same point, all 3 are getting drops. Now, there is a way to solo this. If you use a Heart Dagger and kind of hide yourself into this corner right here and pointing in this direction, you are within the aggro spawn area. The problem is this will break over time, because as they come over and hit you, they can knock you further into the wall and kind of push you out of their spawning aggro space, or even push you into this corner, and then you're not again within that spawning aggro area where they're not going to venture over to you and then attack you. And the reason why this is possible for you to go ahead and AFK with just the Heart Dagger is because gizmos only deal 1 damage, and your Heart Dagger, for every hit that it does against a gizmo, gives you 1 life. So you're going to be able to get that life back quicker than the damage that's being dealt to you, which means you can do it. Now, if you get able to kind of stay in this position, it would go on forever, but of course, like I said, they can kind of knock you out and push you outside of their spawn. Next, we got to go ahead and look at the rattles. Looking at this Deathstalker here, disregard the enchantment. 1 Deathstalker is enough to go ahead and kill a rattle on its own. I do recommend kind of this top spot right here because it's kind of generally easy. It doesn't tend to break for me too often. The other side, you can go over here because it kind of limits, again, where they can move. The ones down there, they will absolutely, any of those 3 spawns, one of the other 2 will go ahead and knock you out of position. So don't do any of these down here unless you're doing all 3, and even then I don't recommend it, because what if one of them fails, like one of your alts or friends go down, disconnect, then the one that's no longer being covered is going to go ahead and attack the other spots and then just break all 3. Now, you could also do this guy right here. He's not too bad. You know, his is kind of like right here on the stairs. It kind of limits him too. So there's really 3 good spots that you can AFK. And also, because of his life, if you were to just do Frostbite, just this 1 spot right here is just fine as well with a Frostbite. I generally recommend this for the Frostbite. I don't recommend the top one or the bottom one, because again, it just limits its mobility. So this is really my preferred spot for rattles overall. Now, if we go over to the Muncher area, you're going to go ahead and see that 2 can take on a Muncher with a Deathstalker. Again, that's going to be the best weapon. But the problem is that Munchers really do move you around over time. I do recommend putting like a 3rd person on here just in case if you get like a lag spike, or if you're getting moved out of position, that there's that extra person. The problem is only 2 will get a drop. So it's safer with 3, but if you're monitoring it and you're okay with coming back and fixing it occasionally, 2 with Deathstalker is going to be just fine. Otherwise, I do recommend with Frostbite, you're going to want 3. Preferably 4 for the same reason. 4 for that extra person to get that extra hit if things are getting moved out of position. But again, only 3 will get drops in that scenario. With that being said, now we're going to go over to our Flamelets. Alright, and in this area, we have so many different Flamelet spawns to choose from. In this case, I like to target this one just right near the entrance coming from the Muncher area. And as you can see, I have forced it up in a square. It's right around the spawn. And the reason for that is because this with Deathstalker is the best setup. They're going to kill the Flamelet very fast, and they're all going to get drops. You can try 3, but me personally, I find that 3 sometimes breaks, and if it breaks, if one gets away, it's going to hop up these stairs right here, and it's going to get stuck right on this part right here, and it's just never going to come back down. So then, although you didn't die and it didn't attack you, it is going to break your AFK because you're never going to be able to kill it because it's just going to get stuck up there. Now, you can try and play it safe with 5. Unfortunately, that's when 1 won't get a drop, so I don't recommend it unless you're just trying to be cautious and you have an extra alt and you're okay with 1 not getting it every so often. That's fine as well. But this is the great setup here, and when it comes to the frostbite, it's the same thing. Just go ahead and put on the frostbites, but you will need 5 because again, there's no way 4 is going to go ahead and capture it the whole time without it occasionally breaking every so often. And if you do set up the 5th one, I would just put it right here, right along the side of the area with the stairs, just so it prevents it from getting away again. You can try put it in the middle, but again, it might push you out of the way when it spawns every so often. So just a little bit off spawn to the left, right, you know, in front of the stairs, just to put that way you have 3 really blocking that stairway because that's where it really breaks. Now, with that being said, let's go over to our blue flamelets. Alright, so this is where things start getting real tricky. So with blue flamelets, the problem is they have so much health, they're bullies, and this spawn point right here. So what you need to do is generally find a way to either get one area where it just only spawns one of the flamelets. Sometimes you'll find a server where it's bugged and for some reason this one disappears from this area. In this case, I just kind of play with it. Sometimes they'll get stuck on a block here and that'll work for a bit. In this case, I had him drop down there and he just never came back. So it's kind of a, if you get one of these golden goose eggs where you only have the one over here, then you're perfectly fine. If it only had this spawned flamelet, then it's not going to work. Unfortunately, this blue flamelet here, it has one of its spawn directions where it only has to take like one step this direction and then it automatically becomes aggro. And it's really hard to be able to deal enough damage to it to kill it before it goes aggro. And it only takes it, one hit to knock all the other ones out of position, and then say it does it again the next time every, maybe 5 spawn later. It's just over time it will break. So in this case, this one generally doesn't tend to break that often. It will break at some point. What's going to happen is, yes, over time you will kill it quickly. It won't deal any damage to you, but it will do the ancient slime thing where it will start pushing them every so often a little bit out of position. If you still do it correctly, where I have it kind of like in a circle, they still, even as they're getting pushed further and further around, they'll create like a circle where they can still reach the blue flame and still deal damage to it and still kill it. I've had some of these go for days without actually breaking. And then probably after about, I'd say 2 days, my real record there, and then it will break at some point, or the server gets shut down, unfortunately. So this is right here. I'd recommend, hey, stack as many people as you can. I think I have 13 around this spot right here. And if you're wondering how many are getting damaged, in this case it's right now 8. Now you can of course move some people away here, and I believe the max that I can get is, I believe 10 can get a drop. So if I kind of move those 2 out, I'm just gonna take a peek here. When that one just died, that's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, still 8. But so I mean, I believe it's like 8 or 9 with the Deathstalker. It looks like it's been pretty consistently at 8. Critical strikes will of course kind of throw that off from time to time. But if you are going to go ahead and do the Frostbite, I don't recommend it. It doesn't deal enough damage to be safe. It does break a lot quicker and more often. You will have the opportunity for 10 of them absolutely to get drops, and that is a huge boost because then you got 10 of them that are also having a chance to have the looting effect. But it's really, in my personal opinion, a gamble. If you're sitting there and you're watching it and you can fix it right away, then sure, go ahead and try the 10 with a Frostbite. But the problem is, if you're just going to try and say go to sleep or go to work, go to school, it's really not going to be worth the risk, because if it breaks, they're all going to be sent back to the portal, because these blue flamelets are bullies. They will absolutely kill every single one of them. If you're lucky, maybe one will be surviving on like a cliff. But it's just, in my personal experience, unless I'm sitting here monitoring it, it's going to yield less in the long run, because it is going to break quicker. I don't think I've actually had it go a whole day without breaking. I think my record with a Frostbite group is about 12 hours, which still was very fruitful. But at the end, it's just very frustrating when it could be one 1 hour, it could be 20 minutes, and it breaks, and I come back a couple hours later and I just wasted all that time. So here's the blue flamelets. Again, unfortunately, it does get in the aspect of just getting lucky, really. If you do have a server that has this one spawned, the best thing you can do is, if there's a player that's willing to not get anything, or if you can have an alt just distracted, you can kind of lead it to try and have it stuck here while your alt or the other buddy is just hanging out right here, where it's not close enough to attack, but it is still trying to aggro, and it's not tall enough to jump, walk up these stairs. It is absolutely going to be able to make this step, but if you can get it to try and attack from like straight here, say you were able to bait it, kind of do like a, I don't know, a quick long loop like this, and then jump up here, and it was just following you the whole way, and then just get it to attack this one wall and just have it right about close enough where it's not going to get hit, but it's still keeping it attached to this person, then that's going to be a nice easy way to get this server working for you. But you are going to operate with one less person, which really doesn't really hurt you too much in this scenario. Alright, for dark fang spiders, which is the smaller spider, you want to go from the portal area to these entrances to the caves. There's 2 of them. There's one to the right, one to the left. Go to the one on the left. This area does have multiple different areas for spawn points for dark fang spiders. I like this area right here to the left. As you can see, this is the spot that I'm targeting. This is right next to the Rachinella lair, so it's also kind of nice because you'll know when she spawns. But for AFK purposes, this is what I'm doing. I have 5 set up in basically like a plus symbol or a cross, whichever you prefer to call it, and this does enough damage with Deathstalkers. Now, 5 will get drops. Anything more than that will just be more for safety purposes. But now, as far as when it comes to doing the frostbite, though, you will need to add a few more accounts. You need to add 3 really to be safe. You can try it with 6, 7 is still safe, but really up to 8 get drops, so you might as well go ahead and take advantage of all 8. If, of course, again, you have enough alts or friends willing to participate. It's not really that hard to find a group of people that want to go ahead and farm the dark fang spiders. There's really not a bad time if you go ahead and ask. Like, a group of people will probably join you. Now, the question again being, how long can they join you for? But in this case, if we have 8 sitting up here, all with frostbites, all 8 are generally going to go ahead and get a drop, unless, of course, someone hits like a critical strike. But yeah, so it's pretty simple. The great thing about dark fangs, they really don't push you out of the way. This one doesn't really get too aggressive or have to bounce off any weird wall spawn and then escape. So you can really sit here all day and be confident that you're going to go ahead and come back to a lot of mob blocks and hopefully pumpkin seeds. And, the occasional nightshade bush, which is never a bad thing. Ooh, look, Enchanted Forest Quest. Next, we're going to go ahead and talk about the Queen Spider. Alright, now for Rachinella, unfortunately there isn't really a true way to AFK her because she has way too much health, and she's going to be able to attack before she dies, even if you stack her spawn with all 14 people in a server. The other problem with that is that you need to deal at least 8% damage to get a drop, which means the max number of people that can get a drop is 12. So what you can potentially do if you want to try this, it does include a macro. You can try and have, say, 11 people right here. You can have a 12th person. I mean, you would have to have some kind of healing item, probably tiger shark steaks or the strawberry pies. But what you can go ahead and do is have a macro set up where you're going to go ahead and run out to the spawn just close enough to aggro and then jump right back, and she will follow. And as you can see, the group is going to go ahead and kill her down, and then just go to each one of the different people in the group and go ahead and heal them. And then, of course, at the 5-minute timer mark, go ahead and run down and do it again. The problem with it is that you may not go far enough to go ahead and get her aggroed. The other problem is that if you go too far and she hits you before you're able to run back, it's going to knock you off course, and you're going to be over here getting knocked probably to death, where Rachinella is never going to go to the group here in this corner. So that's where the problem arises. So we can go ahead and try it, but I have seen that it breaks over time. So if you're going to do this method, I would recommend maybe sit here, read a book while watching your monitors, or watch a show on a phone while this is going on, or vice versa. But it's something that you can try, but I don't recommend it. This is the grand reveal. How does God forgive me AFK Grimthorns and farm all those realm keys? So to start off, we'll go ahead and start heading over to the Dark Hollow area. What I will tell you when it comes to the weapon, you do not want to use a Frostbite sword. It does not deal enough damage for this method to work, otherwise it will break. What you're going to need is you're going to need a Twilight sword. And you do want to have at the very least the enchantment selective. If you're lucky enough to get a perfect Twilight sword that has selective, looting, and fortunate, or even the next best would be like selective, fortunate, and lucky, or a combination of that, as long as that's selective, you're in a really good position. It's the best bet. So from there, all you need is about 8 people to set this up, and the format is pretty unique, so bear with me. Of that 8, what you're going to have to do once you have them all in this area is basically and that's all there is to it. See, it wasn't that complicated. It's kind of crazy how simple the method is, but it works. It's just as long as you know that you're in the right spots, it will work every single time, and it'll go on for days without breaking. So I hope you enjoyed this video and learning how to AFK all the mobs. If you have any questions, don't hesitate, drop a comment in the comment section below or reach out to me on Discord. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, as I really appreciate you supporting this channel. If you have any other ideas you'd like me to cover, don't hesitate to let me know. Otherwise, as always, good morning, good day, good night, and God bless. Thanks for watching.